Please get seated now because the Vice President will arrive in a minute or two.
123可以吗？123。
Ladies and gentlemen, may we now welcome Vice President Xiao Biqing with a round of applause. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Thompson, the moderator today. The Formosa Club in Europe is a cross-party platform of European lawmakers launched to strengthen relations with Taiwan. It is holding its annual conference in Taipei for the first time, and many of the lawmakers are with us in this room right now. Seated with me and Vice President Xiao on stage is Rihas Kols, Chair of the Formosa Club Annual Conference. Chair Kols from Latvia was elected a member of the European Parliament in 2024 and was, until last year, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Latvia's National Parliament. He's now a member of the EU Parliament's Committee on Foreign Affairs and Committee on International Trade. and has actively voiced support for Taiwan and Ukraine. Chair Coles will now give his remarks and highlight the progress and outcomes of this year's conference. Chair Coles.
Yes, thank you. Is it on? It's on, right? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, it's good to see so many cameras. I think it's my first time that many cameras in front, but it's no pressure. I mean, if we are among the friends, we can freely, openly, and from the bottom of the heart. So first of all, on behalf of Formosa Club members, not only from the European Parliament, but also from the national parliaments, it is a great pleasure to be here in Taipei, really concluding on our first annual Formosa Club here in Taipei. In the span of 2 days, we discussed how more we can enhance our both bilateral cooperation back in Europe, to strengthen the ties with Taiwan, and the cooperation is multi-vector. It's not just on the usual things, because what we see, the world is really drawn into quite a turbulence, I would say, be it from the trade, be it from the rule of law, the international rules-based order as well, and it's being challenged. And of course, for Europe, for Taiwan, the democratic societies, it is a challenge, because it's no secret that democracies in the world are actually in minority. And they hold us together, to put our heads together, that we find the common solutions, how we can address the challenges that we face in our immediate neighborhoods, be it Europe right now, that is witnessing the war of aggression by Russian Federation towards Ukraine. We see in Indo-Pacific the situation has been destabilized as well, with the ambition to change the status quo. Saber rattling is something that only weak states are doing when they have no other solutions to offer, be it through diplomacy, be it through cooperation. And I think the principles that so many of us thought were left in the past in the 20th century, that might makes right, it seems to be appearing on the horizon once again. So this is additional task for us, to work more closely, to identify the shortcomings, but look for the opportunities where we can engage our democratic societies, build the resilience, because resilience is a start, to have robust policies in place and that can be implemented and incorporated. So with the Formosa Club, we adopted yesterday a joint statement reiterating our stance in support of democratic Taiwan through the cooperation, of course, through people to people. I know the tourism is the best way to enhance the people-to-people relations, but of course, talking about the ever-increasing challenges that is economic stability, secure supply chains, and of course in Europe as well. We are in the phase of huge, how would I put it, transformation from the mindset of policy making. The latest Eurobarometers conducted in Europe shows that 3 priorities are in the minds of the citizens of the European Union member states. Number 1 is security, second one is defense, and the third one is, of course, competitiveness. That is very much in line on our capacities, how we can address the number 1 priority and number 2. And of course, because of the Russia's war of aggression on Ukraine, we see that we have to step up, not just by words, but by deeds, when it comes to increasing our deterrence, readiness, and capabilities as well. For far too long, Europe has lived from peace dividends, unfortunately. That has somewhat resonated also in the minds of policymakers as well. And the harsh reality that we are facing right now. I come from the country that is right now defined in Europe as East Frontier country. So Eastern Frontier country, that is, we are bordering both the aggressor, but also their accomplices, Belarus as well. And it is existential war, not only for Ukraine, but for Europe, for democratic societies as such. So there is a lot of emotion right now. I will not dwell in the EU's policies and what we're conducting, but in all these policies I see Taiwan is also being identified as a trusted partner in Indo-Pacific. Because in a globalized world, as much somebody wants to make it multipolar, divide and rule, we are interconnected. We just today concluded the conference forum on undersea cables and what impact, huge impact it has, not only government institutions on day-to-day business, but on daily lives of the people as well. From communications to access to data to healthcare as well, because everything in 21st century is almost digitalized. And we see, I would interpret, and that was also echoed in the panel discussion, incidents becoming of more frequent occurrence in the seas, in the oceans, undersea cables being damaged intentionally, not intentionally, and this calls for us, democratic societies, not just to register that that's happening, but how we prevent, how we make these critical infrastructures secure, viable, monitoring, and I'm pleased to learn that Taiwan as well is about to introduce risk initiative that is aimed at securing undersea critical infrastructure. And this, as I said, in Europe we are facing the same challenges. Baltic Sea, in a span of 2 years, we have experienced 12 cases where undersea critical infrastructure has been damaged. It has already caused some immediate effects. For example, in Lithuania, the internet connection was disrupted immediately. And imagine that affects not only business transactions and so on, and hospitals, everything as well is dependent on exchange of data and information. Of course, it affects military industry as well, defense industry, the armed forces. So this is becoming really a security question where, as I said, we're not just only putting the shoulders to shoulders, but also heads together to find the best solutions that not only in our immediate neighborhoods we can feel safe but secure these infrastructures, but also address this at the highest level globally as well. Because it's not only regional solutions can solve, it has to be addressed at the global level to have a proper legal framework to address when somebody is meddling in your backyard or in immediate neighborhood as well. So once again, I really wanted to thank our hosts for having Formosa Club here in Taipei. As I was announced, I'm this particular conference chair, but the chair of the Formosa Club, Michael Galler, the MEP from Germany, he's sending his best regards. Unfortunately, he had overlapping schedule with his mission to Australia, but nevertheless, we have great ideas yesterday in the brainstorm among the members of Formosa Club from Europe to deliver how more we can, first of all, increase the visibility of this format, tell why it matters, that what we do, but also, as I said, not only with words, but concrete deeds as well. And I'm pleased to see that when it comes to the European Union, the cooperation with Taiwan is on different formats. For example, on Horizon, it's associated third country. On Erasmus Plus, students exchange, academia. So there is very much more room for improvements where we can cooperate and benefit. And benefit, I'm not meaning only, money, but benefiting our society's resilience, the cooperation, and most of all, protecting the democratic values that we stand for. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Coles. You raised some very important issues just now regarding challenges facing democracies, the need to work together, critical infrastructure, building resilience and security, and so on and so forth. And I would just want to bring up what you also said yesterday in Taipei, and here I quote, "We recognize Taiwan not only as a partner, but as a trusted democratic ally." And I think with that, I'll now invite Vice President Xiao to speak.
Well, thank you, Thompson, and members of the TFCC. The Honorable Chair Cole of the Formosa Club Annual Conference 2025, and honorable members of the European Parliament and national parliaments around the region of Europe, and distinguished guests, members of the press, journalists, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to attend the International Press Conference of the 2025 Formosa Club Annual Conference. And on behalf of the people and government of Taiwan, I want to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all the members of Parliament who have traveled from, I'm told, 18 countries this time across Europe to join us here in Taiwan. Your presence is a powerful symbol of the enduring friendship between Taiwan and Europe, as well as a profound demonstration of democratic solidarity in a world that is increasingly complex and contested. On a personal note, I was also pleased to see Chair Coles here today, as the last time I saw him was over a nice dinner in the city of Vilnius, where he was one of the, what they called, three musketeers, or three chairs of the Baltic states foreign affairs committees. And in solidarity, we had a very good conversation on shared interests and priorities and how we look at the geopolitical environment. I was also pleased to note or recount that a news story which popped up showed that Mr. Cole's first visit to Taiwan was when he was age 12 as part of a dance performing group to the county of Yilan, and hope that you will have an opportunity to revisit that place. But that goes to show that people-to-people exchanges and cultural ties, as well as youth exchanges, do eventually produce what you said, those benefits of deeper ties between our people and our societies. And so glad that you continue to contribute to the friendship between our peoples. Now, the Formosa Club, comprising members of parliament from 31 countries, has been a steadfast partner of Taiwan since its establishment. And over the years, its membership has grown both in size and significance, inspiring other regions, such as Latin America, Africa, and West Asia, as well as here in the Indo-Pacific, to also form their own chapters and further amplify voices that support and understand Taiwan. The club has consistently advocated for Taiwan's meaningful participation in international organizations, expressed concerns over China's growing aggression, and worked tirelessly to strengthen relations between Taiwan and its member countries. And we are truly grateful for that. In addition to its growing influence, the Formosa Club has also demonstrated strong determination and a unity of purpose, emphasizing the importance of maintaining peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and calling for Taiwan, the EU, and European nations to deepen their cooperation and ties. Now, all of these efforts take place in a global context where the security of the Indo-Pacific and Euro-Atlantic regions have never been more closely linked. Taiwan, positioned in the front lines of authoritarian expansion, remains unwavering in its commitment to democracy. The presence of Formosa Club members here today sends a clear message. Taiwan is not alone in this mission. Building on this shared commitment, Taiwan-Europe cooperation has expanded into numerous critical areas. This morning's discussion on undersea cables is one of those issues. In our interconnected world, undersea cables are the lifeblood of the global economy and the backbone of our digital societies. Ensuring their security and resilience is not only a technical issue, but also a matter of national and international security, economic stability, and democratic resilience. Recognizing this, the forum held earlier today highlighted the importance of shared responsibility, transparency, and trust among like-minded partners. Experts from Taiwan and Europe engaged in meaningful exchanges of experience and explored potential avenues for future collaboration. Through such constructive dialogue, I believe we can forge best practices to counter threats from malign actors seeking to disrupt these critical infrastructures. To further advance these efforts, I'm particularly pleased to share the launch of Taiwan's Risk Management Initiative on international undersea cables. Grounded in a risk management approach, this initiative underscores our commitment to risk mitigation, information sharing, systemic reform, and knowledge building, RISK. More than just a call to action, it represents Taiwan's pledge to collaborate with the international community in securing our collective safety and prosperity. And as Chair Coles noted, priorities in Europe now are centered around defense, security, and competition or competitiveness. And I must say that in our region, these are also very meaningful issues. And we do hope that beyond undersea cables, we also have continuing opportunities to exchange on broader concepts of security and defense. While in Taiwan, our government is committed to increasing our defense spending in light of the growing threats that we face in this region. At the same time, we see defense and security beyond just military terms. While we take military threats seriously, we see our broader national comprehensive security in the context of whole of society defense and resilience. Many lines of effort include, for example, cybersecurity, the resilience of other critical infrastructure. It also includes public safety, sheltering, stockpiling of critical materials. It also involves the resilience of our financial sector, among many other areas. And Europe certainly has a lot of experience in building resilience. Some of your countries call it total defense, or there are terms in other countries. But I do believe that there are many areas of potential shared interest and opportunities to cooperate as we learn from each other and as we share our best practices. So as the annual conference comes to a conclusion, I would like to express my sincere gratitude once again to all the Formosa Club members who have joined us on this important journey. We've witnessed firsthand the power of democratic nations coming together. And when democracies unite, we're able to share a better future for all. Looking ahead, Taiwan will continue to be a responsible and active member of the international community. We remain committed to preserving the cross-strait status quo, strengthening the global democratic supply chain, and deepening our partnerships with like-minded nations and societies. I also look forward to welcoming more friends from the Formosa Club to visit Taiwan in the future as we continue to showcase the power of democratic unity and our enduring friendship. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. Great to hear more about, in particular, Europe and Taiwan cooperation on undersea cables, the launch, as you said, of Taiwan's risk management initiative, as well as Taiwan's efforts to strengthen resilience. I believe that the Vice President has other business to attend to now and must therefore leave first. Let's give her a round of applause. Okay, now we are back to the second session of today, and that is the Q&A session with everyone, with chair calls, not with everyone, with chair calls. I think I'll kick off with a question myself first, and then open to questions from our journalist friends today. Chair calls, you touched upon some of these already, but could I, if I may, sort of ask you to elaborate a bit more? I mean, you have been in Taiwan now, you have been speaking up for Taiwan, and you are active on other issues like Ukraine. How do you see Taiwan and Europe's cooperation on resilience and security going forward now in the immediate future?
Well, I think overall we have already a steadfast cooperation, looking back on countering the disinformation, exchanging the best practices, how we can endure these activities to make our societies resilient to any outside potential manipulations as well. We have vast experience, maybe not all the time the positive ones, but also we learn from the negative experiences. So this is an ongoing task for the EU-Taiwan's cooperation. Of course, there's not only EU as a whole, but individual member states have accelerated the cooperation with Taiwan on different areas and sectors, which I do welcome. It's again, EU is a union of sovereign nations, but one that unites us. That is the values that we mention upon, and I'm pleased to see that also the trade representations here are majority, I think, of the EU member states represented. So that is ongoing cooperation at the individual member state level. On the EU level, we are right now on a very important juncture. We will enter I think the toughest discussions that will outline the EU strategy for next 7 years. So it's the multi-annual financial framework. So we're going to debate how big is the EU budget for the 7 years to come. What will be the priorities? I'm not saying it's going to be easy negotiations and discussions. The views on what will be number one priority, what number two, differs from member state to member state. But what is also important when we are entering these negotiations of MFF, it obviously has to be reflected in our strategies, be it Indo-Pacific strategy, transatlantic strategy, these kind of cooperations. Otherwise, we have robust strategies, but if they're not backed by financial means that we can actually implement these policies, then it kind of leaves an empty talk. So with Taiwan, I see right now the cooperation, again, technology area is absolutely one of those. Right now, in Europe, we are looking at, when we are assessing Ukrainians' experience on the battlegrounds, they provide us with essential intelligence, what works, what doesn't work, and of course, they are fighting our war. And our task is provide whatever necessary support we can provide, but in the meantime, of course, prepare ourselves as well for potential confrontation from our adversaries. And that means drone technologies as well. Drones cannot fly without certain high-tech components. And what we learn also from Ukraine, and here I wanted to give a credit to Taiwan, you're not EU member state, you're not NATO member state, but you do align with the sanctions. At least you monitor what the EU NATO sanctions are on Russia, and you try to apply at your domestic level as well. So not allowing circumvention, and circumvention particularly when it comes to high-tech technology, in particular components for the missiles, for the rockets, and this is crucial. And last but not least, just a very recent discussion. Of course, Europe is also, you have heard the term strategic autonomy. Well, not necessarily meaning we, isolating ourselves, but we conducting policies right now that we are reducing dependencies on not democratic countries that cannot exploit these dependencies at whatever time in any form. So this is also when it comes to defense industry in Europe. The next, so we have adopted right now announced the plan Readiness 2030. I call it originally, as it was introduced, Rearm Europe, which it in its essence is what it's entitled to deliver. And over there, of course, the question is, and we hear from the head of the European Commission as well, European-made should prevail when it comes to defense procurements and appliances, but that doesn't mean excluding our partners. So, of course, this is an invitation to our trusted partners to engage with the defense industry in Europe, to build bridges and build the co-projects, research and development. And I think this is a place where Taiwan really can step forward. And, what symbolizes the importance of Taiwan. I mean, Taiwan is the 13th trading partner for EU. Country with 22 million, half the size of Latvia, is the 13th trading partner for EU. So that is very important, and most above all, it's a trusted partner that we can rely upon. That we don't have these kind of back thoughts of we might be screwed at some point and so on. So those are relationships that have been built throughout the years, throughout the initiatives in the past, as I mentioned, on disinformation, society resilience, civil defense. That's another area where we can cooperate. Sorry for a lengthy answer, but the question is in the way.
Oh, no, thank you. Thanks again. We're now open to questions from the floor. Please tell us your name and affiliation and raise your hands. I think David can go first. Do we have a mic for... Yeah, David.
Thank you, Thompson. I'm David Demas from the Foreign Correspondents Club. In your opening statement, you mentioned the growing risks concerning the sabotage of critical infrastructure in both Europe and Taiwan, including submarine cables. And Vice President Xiao also talked about the need for international collaboration in this area. From your perspective, what opportunities and challenges do you see for closer cooperation between the EU and Taiwan in protecting submarine cables? And how can we better coordinate resources to strengthen our shared telecommunications resilience? Thank you.
Great. I think I partially answered in my introductory remarks. Obviously, the pattern is very similar, what we're witnessing in Europe and what is witnessed here in Taiwan Strait as well. Of course, the question is evidence. How we build the evidence, how we enforce any wrongdoing as well, and call accountable those who are perpetrating these acts. So that means strengthening our well, first of all, at the domestic level as well. For example, the port authorities, who is entering and monitoring as well. The enforcement is, I think there's not a lot of legal precedence on the court decisions so far. So this is, well, the cables being damaged is not a phenomenon. It is, since they're there, since natural disasters or other similar occurrences have been damaged and repaired. But what we're witnessing, which is somebody tries to label it human error, but if the human error happens on such a frequency, in a frequent way, then you start to question, isn't this something that is involved a third party, orchestrated, organized into order to undermine the security and sovereignty of the countries as well. So again, at international level, well, we have the International Maritime Organization. We have international sea law as well. What we are looking at Europe, and this is early discussions as well. As you might know, in European Union is one, but within European Union there are many unions. Schengen, banking union, Euro, energy union, and etc. And I think it's at some point it's a valid point to start to discuss to have actually union of sea, Baltic Sea, Nordic Sea, Mediterranean, where we give the legal framework that is actually in line with the International Maritime Organization principles and the sea law, but gives the right for us to enforce our domestic laws that, for example, if we are suspicious of one or another vessel being, damaging the critical infrastructure, that we can actually, in international waters, detain and then escort to the ports and make the investigations proper. So, because these operations happening in this gray area, international waters, something happens, that's it. Nobody's responsible. So this is something that it can be done through proper legislation as well, improvements of it, and not only at the regional level but also international. But again, it takes time, and the answer should be that those are not isolated conflicts in the regions. As I mentioned, there is a pattern, and that should be also echoed in other regions of the world, be it Latin America, Africa as well, because at that point, any potential perpetrator of these acts assesses right now, this is effective, this works, this disrupts, the democratic institutions. There's this gray area. The responsibility is still not there. To be vigilant, that actually to introduce international regulation on this is of benefit for the global trade and stability as well.
Thank you. Now we'll invite other correspondents and journalists to ask questions. Again, please raise your hand and tell us your name and affiliation.
Thank you. I'm Julie from Thai South. It's a media outlet based in Taiwan. My question is because this morning Mr. Lin just launched the risk manager initiative on the international undersea cables. And you also mentioned that the EU has launched an action plan on cable security that was more than 500 million euros. And the Formosa Club has adopted a joint statement on this issue. So I'm curious about when it comes to the practical cooperation, how can Taiwan and EU work together? And after you're returning to Europe, what follow-up action that all members from different countries take regarding to this joint statement? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well, this is precisely, if we look at these two documents or the policies, they're very much aligned, which makes natural base for cooperation, be it the research innovation, be it the exchange of best practices, and I think that is the way forward. Through these corporations, we can have joint ventures as well. This is not only through the official, institutions, but it also involves private sector as well. We should not forget the private sector plays a crucial role in these endeavors. All these undersea cables are not just governed by government entities. Some of them are private companies serviced and so on. So they have to be on board as well. First of all, to learn from them how they see that we can make these critical infrastructure secure and safe. And of course, my task, as I said, I'm not the chair of the Formosa Club. All this, what we have discussed and adopted, I will pass to Mr. Michael Galler, and of course, I can absolutely vouch that he will communicate further down in the European Parliament to relevant committees, be it the SEDE, which is the newly created committee in European Parliament, dedicated for defense and security issues. It's AFET committee that I'm member of, and he's a member of. So, and of course, here in the room we have members of the national parliaments that I entrust will go back to their capitals as well with not only ideas but with concrete proposals how we can both on bilateral but also multilateral level cooperate with Taiwan on this particular matter.
Thank you. We'll now welcome others to ask questions. 如果你们用中文也可以，我帮你翻译。
Hi, I'm Charlotte Yang from Central News Agency, based in Taiwan. And the delegation will be meeting with President Lai shortly after the conference. What message will the delegation bring to President Lai, and what message will you bring back to your government or countries after the trip? Thank you.
All right, well, you mentioned in a few hours. So in a few hours you will learn what will be my message. No, it's obviously, it is the Formosa Club delegation visit to Taipei is a testament that we are engaged. You're not alone. We share the common concerns, and we are here to work together to build more. Well, I know this word has been drawn in any sentence, in any word, the resilience, but it is matter of essence. One thing people on their daily lives maybe not thinking, oh, am I resilient right now? Am I resilient enough? But we have to have a robust policies in place that reflect that with these policies being implemented, our societies are more resilient, both from internal but also external provocations and manipulation. And my message back, again, Taiwan is a vibrating democracy in Indo-Pacific, and we need to engage. Right now, European Union is concluding negotiations on trade agreements with Indonesia, Singapore. We have already with Korea, with Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Taiwan, although there's formally, we know that the EU's position altogether, but it's not excluded from overall EU strategy when it comes into Pacific. So this is what I also reference back, that when we discuss internally what will be EU's, let's say, East Asia or Indo-Pacific policy, our position on Taiwan, the level of engagement, the areas of engagement should be reflected, and not only reflected, but then again, be the Commission, be the Member State, also applied and implemented.
Thank you. We'll now invite the next question. 用中文提问也可以。Yeah.
Hi, Larry Siano from Taiwan Plus. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about some of the drone diplomacy efforts and drone manufacturing efforts. I know that Latvia has already signed a memorandum of understanding with Taiwan, but looking at this trip, have there been any updates on that? And going back to Europe, do you have any expectations of sort of next steps and what we could expect to see? Thank you.
One step at a time, my answer would be. For this particular conference, annual conference, yes, as I mentioned, we're building up already existing initiatives. The latest one, which was also announced by the Vice President on undersea cables, that is the new one. So we're here as well to explore the Taiwan's views on how that issue to be addressed and how we can cooperate. On the drones, again, there's so much going on in Europe, I have to say, on different fronts. Drone initiative, drone, it's called the Drone Alliance, is one-off, but not the only one. So it's already, as you mentioned, a memorandum of understanding, but memorandum of understanding is already foundation to look for the practical cooperation. I think the existing programs, maybe, well, I not expect that you know what is going on within the European Parliament, but right now it's so-called the mini defense omnibus. So Europe is really easing up the regulations so far that we have implemented, opening up. for the first time to the industries such as, well, military, defense, security. For years, all the EU working programs have been purely socio-economic. And this is a really, I would say, a tectonic shift in the thinking as well. Like, for example, my mentioned program on Horizon, now it will be open as well to dual-use technology development with the military components as well, defense nature. But then we talk about, I don't know if you know all the abbreviations, but SAFE, ASAP, and etc. Are also being opened up. But the crucial part is knowing that there are already legally binding commitments for member states, especially EU member states who are also NATO member states, to dedicate certain amounts of their GDP for defense. Right now, it's after Hague summit, the plan is up to 5%, and of course, centrally Europe will not directly finance member states' defense capabilities, but it will provide the means to boost these capabilities, and that's why I mentioned these programs are being opened up, and I see in the cooperation, in partnership, with Taiwanese entities that can be one another cooperation. The drone is dual-use technology, be it, what we know the classical ones, but also maritime. I think the undersea cables, we can actually talk about autonomous technologies as well to monitor, to detect, and so on. So I think there's a lot of opening up that we are right now fine-tuning between the European Parliament and the Commission. But yes, the time is of essence, and this is something that, at least in European Parliament, everyone says, let's approve and let's start to implement. Otherwise, discussing about the strategy for another 2-3 years, we might lose the momentum, and for adversaries actually gain the upper hand.
Thank you. The next one goes to
Harry Saunders from Domino Theory. So one of the weaknesses of submarine cable infrastructure is that there are very few ships in the world that are equipped to repair the cables. And so the repairs often take weeks or months. I wanted to ask you whether this challenge will be addressed in the new initiative and what you think Taiwan and Europe can be doing.
I wish I had the mandate to say yes. But my personal view is that, again, my prior mentioned initiatives, like, for example, this mini defense omnibus, we are opening up the Connecting Europe facility, which is dedicated to mobility. Well, right now it will be dedicated to military mobility, but we also await that there will be support from the Council, because Parliament has approved, on counter mobility, and it's not only on the land. We're talking about maritime as well, mobility, and counter mobility, meaning critical infrastructure as well, protection, and so on. So I think that is another area to cooperate. On the vessels, it's not only on repairs. We see the latest one. My Finnish colleagues will correct me if I'm wrong. The new deal between United States and Finland to co-produce 14 icebreakers as well. So it's a different capabilities we need to develop, because sometimes as well we're focusing, yes, what is in immediate Europe is happening, sometimes losing focus, let's say, on high north as well, because Russia is very active over there, opening old Soviet bases as well, militarizing. China is defining itself as not like diplomatic curiosity, a near Arctic country. That is a testament that it's a strategic importance for China in coming years and decades, that region as well. And we have to be vigilant. We have to be ready. We have to invest in these capabilities that are not only military, but as you mentioned, cable repairs are not military entities. But here comes important part, the public-private partnership. because obviously it's not going to be government institutions repairing the cables, it's the private companies as well. The question as well, do we have the transparency registers in certain areas? Who owns what? Imagine, yes, a company, yes, we can offer 10 vessels repairing the cables, and then you dig deeper and you find out that, you know, majority shareholders are actually registered in Moscow or somewhere else. So this is something where we have to be careful from the very first day. So I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Now we'll invite the next question. You can either ask in English or in Mandarin Chinese. If not, if I may just chip in with one quick question. Chair Coles, you talked about the importance of Taiwan for trade and investments, and you alluded to how the EU and Taiwan can work more together on the economic front. And now we know that Taiwan's government has been keen to negotiate a form of economic or trade agreement with the EU for many years. That hasn't happened. But we saw that 2 years ago in 23, Britain signed what they call an ETP, an Enhanced Trade Partnership with Taiwan. It's more of an umbrella agreement where mini deals like digital trade, investments, and net zero could be allowed in the future, building on this umbrella deal. Do you think, or will you urge the EU and its member states to consider pushing for a similar proposal with Taiwan?
Well, I think the first task is for Taiwan to be reflected in policy papers, on which then you can implement legal agreements, because I think it's the political logic as well into that. And of course, you know, in Europe, everything is more or less consensus-based. When it comes to trade agreements in particular, that is consensus-based decision. It's not qualified majority. It's not, you know, individual member states. So, you know, the high added value is we're equal in our differences. That is something. Of course, each and every one in our own capacities, we try to both raise the status of Taiwan in different policy papers, but again, it's in the democratic way we reach the result of consensus. So again, on the trade, Latvia has the Taipei representation since 1997. So, you know, a long time, 3 decades almost. But there are numerous countries in the EU that don't have at all. That will be a starting point and an indicator that there's a readiness to go this path. So, well, it's a work in progress, I would say.
Thank you. We now have a few minutes left, so we allow the last, perhaps the last round of questions. So if one, please raise your hand. Chris.
Hi, Chris Lee, also from Domino Theory. A question on information sharing, intelligence sharing, because given that some countries do have, a lot of these countries do have conflict of interest with countries like, say like China, because the undersea cable, some of the ports are in China. So with that as a background, how effective would such a risk initiative be for, for subsea cable security? Thank you very much.
Well, among trusted partners, I think any piece of credible intelligence is a source to base the assessments, and based on the assessments, base the concrete policies. Security intelligence sharing, I think it's becoming even a sensitive question within the EU as well. I wish that all EU member states would be very much aligned, let's say, on sanctions on Russia, on phasing out Russian oil and gas. They're not. Well, I will not hide. I mean, Hungary and Slovakia, unfortunately, haven't been helpful in this process. Actually, on contrary, contradicting that. Also, different ties with China as well. We see in Hungary, using China's loans to give loans to the Balkan countries. It's also interesting. And sorry, for me, I have said that in public, I'm not ashamed to say again. When it comes to China's investment, it comes with strings attached, sooner or later. And the question is how we can identify those covert interests. That's why in Europe, we have introduced the anti-coercive mechanism when it comes to predatory investment and etc. Thus, so far, this instrument hasn't been applied. There are actually talks and then pressure for some European Parliament members to activate the anti-coercion mechanism towards the United States in the light of the tariff war, which I think it's not a constructive, and it's still, the United States is a strategic partner for Europe, and I no doubt can say for Taiwan, and still we have to find commonalities rather focus on differences. So with this, intelligence sharing is important, but then again, intelligence community is very secretive, so I cannot go very elaborate ways on conducting how they share and what they share. It would come out of my kind of competencies as well. But indicators are that even among allies, there is a caution what to whom to share. We see the announcement by the Dutch government as well, not sharing intelligence with the United States. It's something that really bothers when it comes to where the alliance itself is going and how we can avoid just focusing on the differences, but focusing on common challenges that we are facing. So that is something. Sorry, maybe vague answer to your, but I think the intelligence officer would answer similar.
Thank you. And I think with that, we'll wrap up today's Formosa Club Annual Summit International Press Conference. Let's give a round of applause to the chair. And I understand that, and also thanks to the MEPs and MPs from the EU and many European countries for joining us today. I understand that some of you may have to leave now. So once again, can we also give a round of applause to them?
Yes. I guess we, yes.